This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 93. Simplify your listing presentation. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're like me and you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action if that's the type you are and you want to get started in the right direction as a new agent or build a better real estate agent business if you're a veteran, I've created a free jumpstart course or strategy. It's a strategic approach, and it's sitting waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. Take advantage of this, especially the printout of the infographic that will give you the separation of vision to strategy down to the technical work, because a lot of you are rushing right down to technical work with no strategy, and that's causing you much pain that I want to help you avoid. All right, let's get started. In this episode, what I want to accomplish is talking about how I simplified my listing presentation, and you should too. You see, back in the olden days, there was no real internet access where people could sit there and begin their own study about what properties were for sale, what properties had sold. It was this covetous moment where us realtors, you had to come see us, sit down with us, and go through all of this face to face. And then all of a sudden, Pandora's box is opened up in about, in the States at least, 1995, when Realtor.com cuts the deal with NAR, or the National Association of Realtors, to give away all this information. Now, all of a sudden, you have all of these people who are getting educated, which is dangerous. Dangerous. Man, do I have a lot of sellers who think they know the process, even my clients, and they want to argue the process. Like, come on, this is very complicated. It needs to be organized in a certain way. So we need to, if we expect to control the situation better and be the boss of the situation, the professional, the one that's in charge of guiding these people once they say, yes, you're the one, then that starts all the way back at the beginning. And here's point number one. You almost have to start, not almost, you have to start presenting in your marketing phase. You see, I believe that when I chunked this business up into these organized tranches or modules, I like to call them, you start off with this marketing module. So really your listing presentation begins inside of your marketing. If you think about this strategically, that's what I did, and it's the best thing I ever did, and I'll tell you why. Think about it this way. Could you really give away your best listing information for free? That's the challenge I put to all of you. And a lot of you that are veterans would panic. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to do that. And then my competitors have it. Yeah, I probably had an inkling of thinking like that once upon a time ago, but it's easy for me since my life's motto is to be a person for others. I attached to it. I just didn't know how. How do you do that? How would you, if you could give your listing information away, almost like a do-it-yourself package, could you do that from the very start before somebody even begins to discuss the process about their property with you? So you think about, how would I start presenting in my marketing? Well, let's go to social media marketing and just think about that. If you start off with, like we do, with a 7-step strategy, which is nothing more than the major chunks of a listing process chunked up in order of how universally things are going to happen. You might do them a little bit differently from me, but we're all going through the same stages. For example, pricing. You got to get the price right first. You can move up the price ladder by working on your conditioning, moving furniture around and staging, and then marketing by memorializing it, and on it goes. So why not just start presenting that information, adding a little bit of insight, but really giving that information away in any media? So let me talk about that. If I want to let my geography know that I have some guidance in helping them list and sell their house, why don't I just give it away in whatever media I choose? Let's start with social media. So I take the 7 steps. What can I do? I can do a weekly video on each step. It doesn't have to be long. It could be long form. You could turn it into a podcast. You could turn it into a quick tip, but it could be a video. It could be repurposed like I do with the Realty Classroom here, where I'm sitting here. Not only am I videoing, but I am recording into a sound recorder so that it's both a podcast and a video cast and whatever else cast you want to call it. But it's a long form chunk of content that is instructional and insightful, and I am giving you my best stuff for free. This is the stuff that we train in our mastermind. This is it. I don't make up new stuff. And in fact, that's what allows me to come here each week and not have to think too much. I'm just documenting what is a hot topic in live high-end coaching, and I'm giving it away in my marketing. So you do the same in your real estate business. You sit there and think, okay, well, I'm not running a coaching business, or I'm brand new to the business. Okay, good. Just start with universally documenting what happens throughout the stages of a sale of a property. And that begins a good listing presentation. See, I'll tell you what I think is one of the biggest mistakes that most top producers make, or agents. They're always running into these listing presentations and they're deferring to resume. Top producers at this point in time just come in with a big club called their resume. Well, I sell more than anybody else in this neighborhood and anybody else. And that may or may not be a good indicator of that person's performance. It's just that now the consumer is defaulting to that because they don't have anything else to benchmark it against. So let me just take the case of a brand new agent coming in to compete with a veteran in an area, because they can. Here I am, top producer. You could compete with me easily if you just showed up and on your social media, you began to give the steps of how a property is listed and sold. So if you do a little bit of studying, you visit with the office manager or some top producers, and you watch the process and you're new to it, you begin to document what you're learning. Put it in order so it's strategic. Oh, I see that. Okay, so I see what he's talking about. They go in and they price it. They talk about condition. They talk about moving furniture and staging. Then they talk about marketing, how they memorialize it first, how they syndicate it through internet, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all chunks of content that are the same things that I'm going to talk about if I get in the house to give the listing presentation. So you see my point? Here I am all the way over on marketing at the very, very beginning, where people really don't know me yet, and I'm teaching them how to sell their house. I'm giving it away. So that's marketing. Now, hopefully what that does in the internet age is it's unique. And by the way, it is. You'd be shocked how few people will embrace the concept of actually giving their giving their listing information away via a marketing platform. Give it away. Because they just don't believe in that law of attraction is something that you all recognize, that terminology. It's magnetic marketing is the way Dan Kennedy teaches it. You're drawing people in by telling them what to do. Let me just stop there for a second. There's a big difference between what to do and how to do. And this is a distinction that I've been making over time. How do you teach people to give away their best stuff and have them understand you're not giving away the crown jewels here, okay? This is not the holy grail of secrets. You're actually just saying, look, here's what to do with or without me. And that's where you're actually giving your listing presentation what to do's. So they haven't even hired you yet. They don't really know how you would do this, but you say, look, here's the order of what to do. If you're going to do this yourself, you need to consider pricing. You need to consider the range. You need to consider how certain things are affecting to how to price it right. This is not pricing it right bingo, right? You have to understand the math. That's a piece of content number one. Now, if you don't like the price range that you're in and you think you're at the lower end, you can talk about conditioning. Here are the low to no cost things that you can do. Here are the higher end things like replacing bathrooms and kitchens and roofs and heaters, etc. That's conditioning. Now, once that's all done and everything's clean to the level you can, now we have to move your furniture around, get rid of your stuff. You've heard all these things before, right? Because they're universal steps. So if I'm on social media once a week and I give away one step or one small step inside of a step, right? So in other words, let's say we're talking about pricing and I have 4 ideas I want to talk about. I have 4 pieces of content I can give away. I'm giving a listing presentation long form on my social media channels. Now I only record it once and I can go to NBC, ABC, CBS. What's he talking about? LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. These are all channels for one piece of content. So I give a listing presentation, break it down, and I have content for months. So it all starts there. Start by presenting how you're going to list and sell, or what to do. Okay, sorry. Got ahead of myself there, right? What to do. Now, you can have different media for that too. It's not just social. What about a direct mail opportunity? If you can identify somebody who's going to sell their property, say, hey, why don't I send you a package of information that will help you sell your house. Well, what is it? Well, it's what you want. That's the next point here. You see, as we begin to present, you really do have to think about what's in it for them. You really do, because otherwise you're always after what's in it for me. That's why you default to your resume. That's why you default to all almost defensive position. Well, he doesn't do this and I do that. And it causes this just pathetic business. It's really pathetic. I don't even want to be in that kind of a business. I just want to say, well, look, you know how we talked about in those videos that you referenced when you called me, or you know how you got that package from us? Well, we talked about how pricing is affected by other sales. So here's probably what you want. These are the pictures, multiple details of properties that sold that look most like you. There's no such thing as a perfect comparable. So these are the things that look most likely like you. So you said that you thought your price was this. These are a little bit above that price that sold and a little bit below. So you can begin yourself to take this candy and make these comparisons back and forth. Because, by the way, that's how humans make decisions, comparatively. If we don't have something to compare to, we're lost. So by giving them what they want, these pictures and details, they begin to have their own process empowered by you delivering the information. Now, remember, I'm still kind of at what to do, right? Not how to. See, because what's going to drift naturally and transparently and honestly with integrity into them choosing you is that they're not going to know how to really do the details themselves, henceforth what your service is worth to them and why they hire you. You know, again, what is it? 9% of the population sell for sale by owner, and most of those people knew the person directly. So it's a tiny percentage of people that actually could take your what to do and go use it themselves, nor do they want to. So by now giving them what they want, as we get a little bit more intimate with them, these pictures and details around them, that's sort of like the homes down the street offer that you've seen for years on websites or whatever. Let me send you some property information of solds in your neighborhood so you can see what's going on. You can make your own interpretation, unless, of course, you want me to come over. Okay? Now, in this package, this listing package, you also have to include what they need, which is not your resume. It's not. I'm not saying it doesn't belong in there. It doesn't validate it. These testimonials, these resumes. I'm not saying that. But everybody's just rushing down the hill and they're complicating things because now you're putting yourself in a really tough competitive position. Because what if even somebody's more of a rookie than you? They belong to a company that the perception of brand is better. The size of the company's bigger. You're putting yourself in a very difficult position because you're about you. You're really not about them. I know you think your resume is about them. It's not. Empowering the consumer in this listing presentation environment with information about their situation is wildly unique and powerful. And they're leaning into those that do this first versus the people that are braggadociously going on about how great or they are or their company is. Trust me, I've been doing this a long time. I've done it both ways. I would never go back to that nonsense. Okay. So now, at least first, yes, sometimes people say, well, how many of you sold? And sure, I'll go there, but it's almost like, when they ask me, it's like boring. They didn't even get me because I had so much good stuff for them to empower them to understand process. I'm almost turned off when they want to go too far into resume with me, and I have a long one. How about that? That's how much I've changed when I think about this simplification, because I really want them to hear what's in it for them and how this goes down with me only after they understand what to do in general with anybody. Okay. So we've talked about giving them what they want. Pictures, candy, right? It's the candy. Pictures and details of properties that sold around them. That curiosity, that comparative initiative gets taken and in they go. But you say, before you try to interpret all that stuff, here's what you need. These are my 7 steps. This is the strategy. You really should take some time reading through this full-blown booklet about how any property goes through the process and some of what we think are the major thinking points. So you need strategy. I know you don't want to hear that from me today, or maybe it's too early, but have this around so that as you get more serious to selling, it's there. And then lastly, when you finally get in there, now you're dealing with, because remember, you started this all the way back in marketing, whether it was presented on social, email, a video email, direct mail, telemarketing started it all. All of those things begin to present to these people a listing presentation in some form or fashion, so that when you arrive physically You just have to chunk this up and review it. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to go back and separate it away from marketing and talk about the moment that I arrive at a house to give a listing presentation live, because I've blended this because it's so almost impossible to teach you correctly if I don't say, guys and gals, by the time I arrive, I've already presented. Now, they might not recognize it in that short 45 minutes of time that I'm in their house. They might not recognize it fully, but they've been dabbling in it. We've been educating them to be prepared for this moment so that when I come in, I'm not cold. This isn't a cold deal. That's why I referenced them, our olden days when you used to have to sit down for 2 hours completely doing this education. Unless, of course, back then you were smart enough to use direct mail to get them all this stuff out there strategically before anyone arrived, and then that would be different. But for the most part, I used to have to go in and give a 2-hour dissertation. And I think most of those people said yes to me because they were saying, I surrender. Enough. I get it. You know how to do this. Here, take my listing. And I don't like that either. We think our best listing client is one that has listened to us about our strategy and then trusts us with the details. Okay? Because you never can really fully explain it. I'm going through something right now with this seller, and it's like, what about this? What about that? No, you're not listening to what we taught you to begin with. So now I have to come back in and start all over again. Sometimes you just can't get eye to eye with somebody because they just won't listen. And that's where simplifying your listing often comes with, like, is this the right fit for us? Because if somebody's not going to be educated in a simplified way and they want to throw up their anxiety all over you, you might have the wrong avatar for listings, okay? Tough to say it, but that's the reality of business. You must find an avatar who appreciates a better process. So when I walk in the house, remembering in my case, let's take an expired, for example. We've made contact with this expired, and we have said the same thing. Hey, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because we saw your beautiful house online and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you some information that will help you sell it the next time. May we do that? I know all my cold callers out there having conniptions. Huh? Right? No muscle? You know, that won't work. Well, it does. Okay, so it does work. Because a lot of the times, most of the time, they say sure. Because it's something that's in it for them. And we're so excited because we're staring at this thing on the desk, knowing that there's an explanatory, there we go, there's the word, explanatory cover letter. There is the candy, what they want, pictures and details of properties. There is what they need, the strategy written out in a full booklet, right? And even a market update to give them an idea what's happening in the marketplace. So it's actually a do-it-yourself package. You don't even have to have me over. If you want to take a crack at this yourself, go ahead and use it. But now remember, that's been sent. A lot of times they get excited. They call back and say, yep, send them. Makes sense, but I want to know more. So now all I'm coming in is as the educator. So this is where that last point of keep your show and tell chunked up, because they can always go deeper with details. But if you get in the house, now there's this dynamic, this kinesthetic moment where they're trying to see if they like you. You're trying to see if it's a good fit. You're checking out the product. There's a lot of moving parts. We don't want confused minds because confused minds do nothing. So I come in every time and I do what is called getting athletic. I teach my athletic kids, especially my hockey player, this. I said, you don't just walk into the gym and start yanking weights off. You get your body underneath you. You bend your knees a little bit. You get athletic in an athletic stance. Well, business is like that too. I'll pull up to the house. I will have the package of information, which is a reiteration of a lot of what we sent them, only it's chunked up even more. In other words, I don't have the full-blown magazine. I have an infographic with 7 steps. And you'll see how that comes to be. But I sit in the car. I take a quick look at all the pre-qualifying questionnaire answers. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you? 15, said the last one. Whoa, we got a situation here. Why? We have a house already, and we're going to lose it. Uh-oh. So we have real motivation. So now this is a seriousness of purpose moment. This is on tonight, right? And this is literally, I'm telling you, here I go again, documenting. This is something I put under agreement this weekend, and we only listed 30 days ago. Okay. Or I think we met him 30 days ago. It's only been on for 19 days. So good story because everybody's on the same page. And this is what can happen when this is all simplified. So I got myself athletic. I took a look at this stuff. I knew what I was dealing with. I walked in. I thanked them for having me over. Then I asked them for the quick tour of the property so I knew what we were talking about. I get the quick tour, not the thorough tour. And this is where my children did this. And these are where I banged the copper nails. That's defeating the purpose. I'm only trying to take a look at condition so that I can speak to it properly in the systematic rundown of what they need, the strategy. So we go through. The next thing I say is, can we sit somewhere where I can spread some information out and look at all decision makers? Is there one? Is there two? Is there a whole family? I want to sit at a table where I can spread in my chunked up information in front of them. Sure, right over here. So we sat down, they kitty corner. I said, yeah, if you could move closer to her, then I'll just put this in front of you. So this is my show. And that's why they invited me over. When I say my show, I need them to be in a position where being presented to is smooth, comfortable, and everybody's good. So now I say, look, I just want to reiterate, there's high motivation to sell this. I see this. Tell me a little bit about why you're moving again. So I reorient them to, why am I even here with them? What are we doing here? Is there a seriousness of purpose? Now they reiterated they did. And I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I said, because you got expired and you told me what happened, you got a home sale contingency deal, you got stuck there, you got all the way to stage number 5, communication or market making. I know I can solve that. I think your price is okay because you had activity. So we were able to backdrop it against these 7 steps, do an autopsy of where they were, get the thing set up, solve a few marketing problems where professional pictures were not taken, floor plans were not included. I'm not saying that was the be all end all, but it was importantly missing. So we wanted to check that box. So now, once we went done with that, the next question is, I've gone through this, but I want to make sure that, is there anything in here that I did not cover that's important to you? In this case, there was really a no. It was just some questions about timing. And then I dealt with a little bit of a competitive situation. And I reiterated again, professional pictures and floor plans, which basically overcame that objection. And we were done. That was it. So literally, that phase has been taking me when everybody's on the same page and it's a good setup all the way from marketing to telemarketing to direct mail marketing. By the time I arrive, it's all set up so that I'm just going through this formulaic approach to best help them. A lot of noise and a lot of confusion and a lot of your resume and me. That's all it sounds like, instead of empowering them. And I'm telling you, there's no comparison. I've done this for 20 plus years now. I've done it both ways. I've been in there for a long time, building rapport, quote unquote. You'll build rapport if you're treating them properly. They'll lean in and appreciate you. That's rapport. That's the beginnings of trust, right? This is not some weird technique thing. It's just real. You're being honest with people, okay? So let me reiterate these bullet points. Simplify your listing presentation by, number 1, starting to give it in your marketing, all the way from social media marketing to telemarketing to direct mail marketing. Simplify it and deliver it there. It's what to do, so don't panic. You're not telling them how you would do it. They need you for that. When you do this, though, and you come to the house, make sure you're giving them what they want, pictures and details of properties around them or like them that sold, so they can see what actually sold and how that affects them. Then include what they need, the steps to being successful that are universal to all of us as agents and all of them as sellers. And then ultimately, when you get to the show and tell, keep it simple and chunked up so that you can move through it without causing confusion, and instead giving them confidence that you know what to do and that they should hire you so you can do it for them and take care of the how to. All right. So to summarize this key point, too many agents are either not aware of the strategy of truly approaching their listing presentation by first answering the question, what's really in it for the seller? And how will they benefit? And in our case, it's strategic, right? So in order to pull that off, you must simplify your presentation so that it's clear, so that you've empowered them with the best information and then insight, so that you'll be in the best competitive spot to win. And trust me, I do this all the time and it works. Copy me. Hey, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free, simple business plan strategy. It's sitting for you at freeagentgift.com. This is what I use. This is what all the top producers I coach use. Go get yours for free. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, please, so that you don't miss out on all these insights. This is coaching that we just did with top producers. Here it is. You don't want to miss this, right? Also, if you want to get technical with me in some of the tactical work, we broadcast and give away our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock EDT. So get over and turn on those page and channel notifications, all those little bells that remind you where you can find us anywhere on those social media channels under The Realty Classroom, The Realty Classroom. Okay. And you won't miss out. All right. Hey, we'd also appreciate it if you would share this content with other agents just like you so that they also get the help they need and you can help us try to be people for others. Remember, the final thought here, nobody is coming for you. So go get to work on your own business. See you in the next episode.